Think you had a bad day? Wait until you hear these stories where someone breaks their wrist because of a flying pancake, someone else builds a DIY glory hole out of cardboard, and one woman nearly gets kicked out of her town just for telling the truth about adoption. Welcome to Channel Name, where every screw-up comes with a life lesson. But at least you're not the one who lived through it. So sit back, grab your favorite drink, and get ready to laugh through the pain with today's lineup of true Reddit stories. Story 1. I made my husband a cardboard glory hole, and my father-in-law nearly returned it to Lowe's. I didn't think I was that kind of creative person until the day I made my husband a glory hole, out of a cardboard box. Yes, you heard that right. And I swear the idea started off completely innocent until it almost turned into an X-rated piece of evidence at Lowe's, thanks to none other than my father-in-law. The story begins while we were remodeling our bathroom. You know, one of those expensive, chaotic home projects where the mess outweighs the progress. But I wasn't paying attention to the tiles or the new tub. I was focused on the giant pile of cardboard boxes stacked in the garage. That's when I remembered something from back when my husband and I were still dating. Let's call him Nate for clarity. Nate once admitted half-jokingly, I thought that one of his wildest fantasies was trying a glory hole. At the time, I laughed it off. But you know what? A good wife remembers even the weirdest details. Fast forward. A few years later, I'm standing in front of a massive cardboard box, scissors in hand, and a ridiculous idea pops into my head. Today is the day I honor sexual creativity. I cut a perfectly round hole right in the middle of the box. Then I placed it in front of his home office door and wrote in huge, bold letters, "Your D goes here. Use me." Added a few hearts, some glittery stars with red markers. Tasteful and elegant like the back wall of a sketchy dive bar men's room. I hid behind the box, heart pounding like a war drum, and waited for Nate to get home. He walked in, read the sign, paused for 3 seconds. Then burst out laughing, locked the door, and well, I'll let your imagination take it from here. His reaction was priceless. Like surprising someone with a PlayStation 5 when they weren't even expecting socks. He was thrilled. I was proud. Martha Stewart, but make it NSFW edition. Everything would have been fine. If I hadn't been dumb enough to keep the box, seriously, I should have destroyed it, burned it in a ritual sacrifice to the gods of adult DIY. But no, I left it in the garage, like some kind of erotic war trophy. And then a few days later, Nate tells me the tub doesn't fit. We'll have to return it. Next sentence, Dad swinging by to pick up the box to pack it back up. I froze. My father-in-law, the classic no-nonsense fishing on weekends fixes everything kind of guy, was about to grab the box with "Use me" written in red Sharpie and a hole cut with sniper-level precision, to bring it to a Lowe's, in the middle of the day, in public. I ran to the garage and opened the box. The evidence was still intact, just as I had left it. I panicked and grabbed everything I could find: brown tape, black markers, craft paper, basically assembling a one-woman crime scene cleanup crew. I spent nearly 30 minutes erasing all traces of our sex project. I cut out the whole section, taped over the writing, Sharpied over every letter. But you know what Sharpie bleeds through. Faintly, but enough for the curious eye. And just as fate would have it, my father-in-law arrived mid-cover-up right as I was hiding the danger zone behind a cabinet. He looked at me, looked at the box, and casually asked, "Who cut a hole right in the middle of this thing?" I faked a cough. Must have been the warehouse guys. Probably happened during shipping. He nodded, then said something I'll never forget. "Yeah, must be a bunch with a very vivid imagination." I don't know if he knew. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. But that look, the "I know you know that I know" kind of look, will haunt me forever. The tub got returned successfully. The Lowe's employee didn't say anything, but he did examine the box a little too thoroughly. As for me, I learned a valuable lesson. If you ever make a DIY sex toy, destroy the evidence. Your father-in-law might not say a word, but trust me, he sees everything. And sometimes the scariest thing isn't getting caught. It's being silently understood. Story 2. I accidentally led a heist. At Disney World, I'm not a criminal. At least I used to think I wasn't. I'm the kind of person who always lines up properly, gives up my seat for the elderly tips generously, and returns the shopping cart to its corral. But all of that, all my decency, melted away in the 90-degree Florida heat and face-slapping humidity right in the so-called happiest place on Earth. Yep, I'm talking about Disney World. It was our family's first trip to the parks. 3 days, 3 parks, a full-on American Disney dream. And 20 minutes into Animal Kingdom, I was already melting like a dropped popsicle on asphalt. I'm not even exaggerating, my clothes felt like a steam suit, and I was a walking sweat cloud. That's when I saw it, the fateful cart. A small push cart parked in the middle of the main path with a giant tub packed with ice and glistening water bottles catching the sunlight. No staff, no price sign, no rope, just a chilling oasis begging someone to make the first move. I turned to my dad and asked, "Hey, how do we get these?" This man who literally raised me to have morals replied, "Probably free. Tickets cost like $100. Just take it." Maybe he was joking. Maybe he was dead serious. Me, I took it at face value and went for it. I grabbed 4 bottles and handed them out to my family. That ice-cold feeling in my hand, pure heaven. As I was cracking one open, another family walked up and asked, "How much are these?" Me, mid-sip, with a friendly smile, replied, "They're free?" Probably included with the ticket. They grabbed a few. Then a third family saw us and helped themselves. Then a fourth, a fifth. A small crowd started forming like a hydration-themed flash mob. Right before my eyes, nearly 30 bottles disappeared into the hands of thirsty park-goers under the unforgiving Disney sun. I just stood there in the middle of this great water liberation, feeling like Robin Hood passing out hydration to the masses. Even if you know the poor in this case had all just spent hundreds to get into the park. And then the Disney staff showed up. I saw the guy from a distance, eyes-wide price scanner in hand. He walked up just as another family was helping themselves to a bottle. He asked how they planned to pay. Me, I was sipping bottle number 2 and casually retreating from the scene like a silent water-thieving ninja. Did I look back? Nope. Did I feel guilty? Maybe 10%. The other 90% was pure panic about being banned from Disney for life. My family. Still completely unaware of the potential felony-level chaos. My mom said, "Who even sells water without someone standing there?" And I was thinking, probably someone who just stepped away while we robbed them blind. That night at the hotel, I checked Reddit. Sure enough, there was a post on the Disney subreddit about a mass water grab incident at Animal Kingdom. No photos, no names, but a few comments stood out. Someone said the water was free, and the whole crowd just believed it. I knew. I was someone. Story 3. I suplexed my cat and accidentally awakened the killer instinct of the other one. I thought I understood cats. I really did. I'm a certified cat owner. I know when to pet, when to duck, and when to play dead because they're pretending to be cute, just to slap the soul out of you. But no matter how much experience I had, nothing could have prepared me for the day I accidentally suplexed my cat and triggered the primal wrath of another cat I thought was harmless. Let me start from the beginning. I have 2 cats, Charlie and Momo. Charlie's the chaotic one, a full-blown gremlin. Every night he flops onto my bed like a beached seal, belly up, legs in the air, looking like he's saying, "Rub it. Go on. I dare you." And I, the naive human, thought, "Oh, he wants belly rubs." Every single time I touched his stomach, he'd bite me like I insulted his ancestors. No joke. Growling, snapping, flailing, straight-up ninja cat rage. He's a crackhead, but he's my crackhead. Eventually, I developed a technique to handle him, a special ritual I like to call the suplex. Now hold on, don't come for me. I didn't hurt him. I'd gently pick Charlie up, support his back, and softly slam him down onto the bed like a WWE wrestler in slow motion. He loved it. Every time he'd flop back, wiggle his paws, and meow like, "Again, you foolish human." Again, it became our thing. A weird bonding ritual. Toxic, maybe. Effective, absolutely. And then, one beautiful afternoon, Charlie and Momo were napping on the couch. It was peaceful, serene, like a Renaissance painting of two fluffy blobs stacked on top of each other. Now Momo, oh Momo. She's the kind of cat you could hold upside down and spin like a pizza dough, and she'd just blink like life is impermanent. You know the type. Doesn't meow, doesn't scratch, doesn't move, just exists. A living lump of bread dough. A silent philosopher with no strong opinions. Because of this, I made the mistake of thinking she had no killer instinct. So I walk into the living room, see Charlie and Momo curled up. I think, oh, Charlie's right there. Perfect time for a suplex. I gently lift him up. He opens one eye like, really here. Right now I grin, and then boom, suplex. Right onto the couch cushions. Classic move. Charlie bounced like a rubber ball and let out a loud, "Meow!" And that's when Momo sat up, slowly, eyes wide, ears perked. I swear to you, in the 3 years I've lived with her, I've never seen that look. It was the look of an ancient warrior witnessing her comrade's execution. She didn't growl. She didn't hiss. There was just a low rumble coming from her tiny throat. I even turned around because I thought someone turned on a subwoofer. And then, smack. Momo launched herself at Charlie like a vengeful spirit. I froze. Charlie took the full combo claws, slaps, kicks, a full-on feline beatdown. They flew off the couch, spun around the coffee table, then vanished into the basement, leaving me standing there like some war criminal who had just summoned a mythical beast. I had no idea what had just happened. All I knew was I, the so-called cat whisperer, had just triggered final form on the most silent, peaceful cat in the house. Momo hasn't growled since. But there's a quiet menace in her eyes every time I enter the room. A look that says, I know what you did, and I haven't forgotten. Charlie. He still plays the suplex game with me, but now he always checks behind him first. And me, I don't suplex within witness range anymore. Lesson learned. Never underestimate the quiet cat. A suplex might be an act of love, but it might also be an act of war. And if you ever activate a cat's revenge mode, run. Don't look back. Don't explain. Story 4. I drank Vietnamese iced coffee and ended up in the hospital like a junkie. I'm Vietnamese by blood, but I've lived in the US since I was 6. So yeah, I speak Vietnamese, I eat fish sauce, I can use chopsticks just fine. But let's be real. I'm not exactly 100% purebred anymore. Call me an upgraded Vietnamese American model or something. Recently, I took a trip back to Vietnam to visit family first time in almost 2 decades. And like every other nostalgic overseas kid, I had this brilliant idea to relive my childhood memories. I wandered the streets, stopped by local markets, ate bon trang tron, inhaled a good amount of street dust, and then I made the terrible decision to drink Vietnamese iced coffee from a street vendor. That's right. Safe Sua Ja served in a massive plastic cup packed with ice and as dark as my soul during tax season. It looked harmless. It smelled incredible. I thought it'd be sweet and nostalgic. But no, it was a full-on caffeinated punch to the face I will never forget. At first, I was sitting on one of those plastic stools, lower than my self-esteem took one sip, and my entire body froze. That thing was so strong, I thought the vendor had poured pure liquid caffeine extract straight from the source. But being the prideful idiot I am, I downed the whole thing. Because in my head, I thought, you're Vietnamese. This is nothing. Spoiler alert. It was everything. 15 minutes later. My heart was doing breakdance routines in my chest. I started sweating not the wow, it's hot kind, but my body is firing off emergency flares kind. My hands were shaking, my eyes twitching, and I swear I started hearing techno music. From where, no clue. But I'm confident I could hear the color purple. I thought I was having a stroke. I tried calling a grab, but my hands were shaking like I was deep into a Parkinson's speed run. Every tap on the screen felt like a boss battle. A nearby motorbike driver saw me wobbling and asked, "Hey, you okay? Did you catch a cold or something?" I mumbled, "No, I think I'm ODing on caffeine." He stared at me. "What the hell were you drinking? Meth?" I got taken to a local hospital, eyes wide like I was possessed, mumbling in broken English and Vietnamese. I remember the doctor took one look at me and probably thought, Viet Q. They hooked me up to an IV and told me to lie still and please stop talking. I obeyed like a nervous fifth grader on the first day of school. The worst part, not the heart palpitations, not the dizziness. It was the ego death. Me, a guy who had tried weed in college, smoked Vietnamese pipe tobacco for fun, chugged 5 shots of espresso in Seattle, was taken out by 1 cup of Vietnamese iced coffee. Price 20,000 VND, about 80 cents. When my relatives came to visit me in the hospital, no one offered comfort. They laughed, loudly. My aunt said, "Typical Viet Q, drinks 1 iced coffee and acts like he took the SATs while skydiving." My cousin recorded a TikTok of me lying half dead as a warning to Gen Z. This is why you don't underestimate Vietnamese coffee. There I was, soul floating somewhere near Ben Than Market Body, being tended to by a nurse, eating sticky rice with 1 hand and changing my IV with the other. Now whenever someone invites me out for coffee, I always ask Starbucks or Vietnamese. If it's Vietnamese, I'm gone. No questions, no smiles, no negotiations. Lesson learned, never underestimate Café Suaja. It's not a beverage. It's a spiritual trauma diluted with ice. If you think you've got a high caffeine tolerance, Vietnam will break you with 1 plastic cup. And if you end up in the hospital because of it, relax, you're not alone. A story 5. I forgot I was still in my family's Amazon account, and my sister saw everything. Yes, even that. Have you ever experienced the soul-crushing horror of being completely exposed, not by a stranger, but by your own family? No, welcome to my nightmare. It's called Amazon Household. I, your carefree, clueless little sister, accidentally revealed my entire private, and I emphasize very private life to my older sister because of a settings choice I made 8 years ago and completely forgot about. For context, my sister and her husband added me to their Amazon family account way back when as a way to help me shop, Smart Share Prime, save money, you know, all that well-meaning stuff. I didn't really care. As long as I got free shipping, I was in. Years passed, and I totally forgot I was still just a teen account in their system. Then, like any self-respecting, semi-independent young adult, I started shopping for more personal items. You know, normal things like cat-shaped keychains, comfy underwear, cute room decor. And then there were the other things. The ones with batteries. The ones that buzz. The ones that should never ever be shipped to your work address. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Honestly, I thought I was safe. No one ever said anything. No weird looks. Everything got delivered, no questions asked. Until one sunny day, I got an email. "You've been removed from your Amazon household." I stared at it, read it again. Wait, what? I got kicked. At first, I was just sad to lose my Prime perks. But then, the slow creeping panic began. Hold on. Have all the things I ordered been visible? Did I accidentally ship something home? Were the product descriptions too descriptive? I Googled it. Search, can household admin see teen account purchase history? Top result, yes. The primary household admin gets notified of all purchases for approval. I was done. My sister had seen everything. Every single item. The weird hair trimmer I didn't want to explain. The neck massager that was suspiciously expensive. That mesh top that no one wears outside the house. And the grand finale, a vibrating light-up waterproof device with a description that read, 3 pulse modes, USB charging, discreet design. I collapsed onto my desk. All I could picture was my sister phone in hand, silently clicking approve and saying nothing. It felt like I had just handed over the remote to my private life and said, "Here, watch everything." I tried to rationalize maybe she didn't notice. Maybe she thought it was skincare stuff. Maybe she didn't read the descriptions. Then I remembered my sister works in IT for Amazon. She reads everything. I felt like a prisoner who just discovered the security camera in the cell never turns off. I didn't text her. I didn't ask. She didn't say a word. The silence worse than any confrontation. I told my best friend. She laughed like a maniac. At least your sister had the decency to approve everything and not call you out. She's like, silent gamer mode, full admin access. I was offended, but couldn't argue. And what was the last thing I ordered before getting kicked a self-help book titled Love Yourself First and another self-care item with a remote? I'm guessing that was her limit. Approve once or twice, it's curiosity. Approve item number 15. Yeah, she had enough. Lesson learned. Always check if you're still part of any shared household account. Because if you're an Amazon family and you're buying personal stuff, you're basically starring in a full-blown adult drama and someone else has front row seats. And if your sister hasn't brought it up, don't. Just be grateful. And quietly remove yourself. Story 6. Breakfast in bed for my girlfriend and a broken wrist. Thanks to the cat. You know that feeling when you've just moved in with someone you love? You wake up every morning thinking, today I'm going to do something special for her. Yeah. That was me. Your classic boyfriend of the year fool. It was the first weekend after I moved in with my girlfriend, and like any hopeless romantic, I decided to surprise her with breakfast in bed. And I'm not talking cereal and milk. I'm talking a real breakfast, a full spread, stacked pancakes, soft scrambled eggs fluffy like clouds, crispy bacon, and hand-pressed French coffee. I even warmed the plate because Gordon Ramsay once said pros do that. I laid everything out on this beautiful wooden tray and tiptoed upstairs like a prince delivering breakfast to his sleeping princess. But life isn't a Disney movie. By the third step, bam! My foot slipped on something tiny, something soft, something I thought was just a bit of lint. Nope. It was a toy. A cat toy. Our cat, my girlfriend's pride and joy, had left one of those tiny rubber mice right in the exact spot I stepped. I slipped. The tray launched into the air like slow-motion fireworks. Coffee sprayed the walls like a crime scene. Eggs slid off the plate like theme park water rides. Bacon flew like ninja stars. And me, I face-planted into the stairs. The crash echoed so loud my girlfriend burst out of the bedroom like the FBI had just kicked down the door. The scene she found me crumpled like a mop on the stairs, moaning, clutching my wrist, and a lone pancake stuck to my back like I'd just been assassinated by breakfast. She was horrified, also trying very hard not to laugh. Then she called an ambulance. At the ER, my face was red, not from pain, but pure embarrassment. The nurse asked what happened. I told her breakfast tray stairs, cat, toy, mouse. She just nodded like this was the 74th time this month. After the x-rays, the doctor looked at me and said, "Congratulations, you fractured your wrist. And this, my guy, is why people shouldn't do performance art while holding food." My girlfriend later issued a permanent ban. No more surprises unless I'm in full body armor. As for the cat, the tiny furry culprit, she sat at the top of the stairs licking her paw like she hadn't just caused a syrup-soaked disaster. I swear the look she gave me said weak. Shouldn't be allowed to reproduce. Lesson learned. Romance is nice, but leave it to the movies. In real life, romance can break bones. If you own a cat, check every stair like you're sweeping for landmines. And if you plan to carry breakfast upstairs, make damn sure your cat isn't playing minefield chess with you. Bottom line, In the battle between love breakfast and cat always wins. Story 7. I pulled it like my boyfriend told me to, and he used the oldest trick in the book. I don't even know where to start except to admit I was tricked. Brutally. I'm telling this story with emotional wounds still fresh and my faith in men at an all-time low. My boyfriend, the guy I once thought was kind, gentle into meditation, the kind who spends hours in the bathroom to center his soul, turns out to be a conniving little troll armed with a silent weapon that kills without a blade. It all started on what was supposed to be a perfectly normal evening. We were living together in my parents' house while they were away on a long trip. He was staying over for a few nights, totally normal 20-something couple behavior. Everything was great. Until that fateful evening when I walked into the bathroom to bring him a towel. Now I don't know why I thought this was a good idea, walking into a steamy bathroom while my boyfriend was in the shower and just standing there. Maybe it was the fog that made everything look like a Korean drama. Maybe I thought I was the main character. You know that innocent curiosity, that moment when your brain goes, "Ooh, what's this dangly little thing?" Yeah, I saw it. The unguarded, floppy bit of manhood just out there in the open. And I, an adult woman raised on memes and TikToks for sex ed, couldn't help myself. I had to poke it. It was like a spring-loaded toy, a weird little rubber slinky. I started bouncing it up and down, gently, like a child discovering a new musical instrument. I swear I wasn't being sexual. I was just curious. He, meanwhile, kept drying his hair like he didn't notice. And then the trap was set. He turned to me with a so innocent, it's suspicious smile and said, "Why don't you pull it a little?" I was Bambi in a horror movie. I actually thought it was a romantic suggestion. I grabbed it gently, respectfully, like I was holding a ribbon at a grand opening. And then I pulled. In that exact moment, a horrific sound shattered the steamy silence of the bathroom. P-P-P-T-T-T, a fart. A close-range, steam-amplified fart directly into my face. I froze, like a statue. He meanwhile collapsed in a pile of laughter like Satan himself had just completed a dark ritual. It took me 5 full seconds to realize what had just happened. He had used me, weaponized me to trigger a manual fart trap. The classic pull my finger prank, but evolved into pull my dick and I'll blast you into the next dimension. I wasn't mad because of the fart. I was mad because I trusted him. I was mad because this was clearly premeditated. He had planned this. He had waited for the perfect moment. And worst of all, I couldn't tell anyone without humiliating myself. I walked out of that bathroom with a face redder than overripe tomatoes, while he lay there laughing like he'd just won the Oscar for Best Deception in a domestic comedy. Lesson learned. Never trust a man standing naked in the shower who says, "Hey, pull this real quick." If your boyfriend spends hours meditating in the bathroom, he might be practicing fart assassination techniques. And if you're curious about the male body, use Google. To this day, I still hear that sound in my sleep. Not because I'm scared, because it was so loud, so real, so humiliating. And if you're listening to this and thinking, well, at least it's kind of funny, then congrats. You've never been betrayed by love via toxic gas. Right in the face. Story 8. I told the truth about adoption and apparently ruined someone's dream of becoming a mom. I didn't think I'd become that awful woman who crushes hope just because I told the truth. But hey, this is America, where if you don't sugarcoat reality, people act like you've just set fire to the flag of optimism. My husband and I got married relatively late in our 30s. We loved each other, had stable jobs, a house, and were ready for a family. Only, my body didn't agree. We tried everything, ovulation charts, medications, and that emotional lottery called IVF. After years of disappointment, I finally told my husband, instead of chasing a child, we might make, "Why don't we love one that already exists?" He agreed. So we adopted twin toddlers from the foster care system, one with significant medical needs, the other deeply sensitive and trauma-affected. Sounds noble and exhausting, right? Actually, it wasn't. I don't know why, but everything went suspiciously well. If life were Netflix, we somehow got the adoption premium plan. From paperwork to bonding with the kids, it was like we had invisible angels pushing us along. We became the picture-perfect adoption fairy tale. Then one lovely day, my mom, an Olympic-level gossip queen, ran into a woman who was also struggling with infertility. Of course, my mom immediately gave her my number, told her I was an adoption expert and would inspire her like a Hallmark movie. And me. Because I have both manners and a dumb bleeding heart, I agreed to talk to her. At first, I gave her the Disney version, how the process worked, how it felt to meet our kids, the heartwarming little moments. Her eyes lit up. Her husband stayed quiet. But something about it felt off. I didn't want to lie to them. I didn't want them thinking that if you just open your heart, perfect children would fall from the sky like angels. So I told them the truth. I told them about the seizures, the screaming, the nightmares, the 40-hour stretches without sleep. I didn't say it to scare them, I said it so they'd be ready, prepared, grounded. A few days later, I found out her husband decided he no longer wanted to adopt. She texted me one sentence. "Thanks for destroying my dream of becoming a mother." Ouch. A few days after that, my mom told me I shouldn't have gone so far, that some truths are best learned on their own. Then the town Facebook group got passive-aggressive. Some people only discourage others because they had it easy. Not everyone gets the fairy tale adoption, okay? I became the villain in someone else's fairy tale. But you know what? I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for saying the truth they didn't want to hear. Because if one man can be scared off by a single phone call, he had no business walking down the adoption road in the first place. Adoption isn't some feel-good alternative to infertility. It's a commitment. It's a mess. It's unconditional love that can feel like a 3-year crawl through emotional hell. I'm not some saint. I'm just a mom who sat on the floor holding a seizing child, wiping spit and tears with one hand and singing lullabies with the other just to keep us both from unraveling. If that reality is too much to handle for you, then I'm sorry, but you probably shouldn't be a parent. Story 9. I learned that being the perfect boyfriend can sometimes launch you off the stairs with flying pancakes. I'm a good man. Seriously. I don't party. I don't cheat. I mostly remember anniversaries, thanks Google Calendar. And last week I decided to launch a full-blown romantic campaign, Gordon Ramsay-style breakfast in bed for my girlfriend who had just moved in with me. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? I woke up earlier than her, which is no small feat since I normally sleep like a sun-baked cat. But I did it. For love. For feelings. For that TikTok I saw with 2 million likes where a guy brings his girlfriend pancakes and she cries with joy. I wanted my girlfriend to cry too. Happy tears. Not the kind that would follow. I entered the kitchen like a culinary king. The pancakes from a mix. I'm not pretending here, but I added cinnamon and vanilla so you know classy. The eggs scrambled into soft, fluffy clouds. I warmed the plate just like Gordon Ramsay said, made coffee, arranged everything beautifully on a wooden tray from IKEA that I had literally never used because who uses trays in real life? But today was special. I stood at the foot of the stairs, smiling like a man about to deliver an offering to the goddess upstairs. First step, second step, third step. And that's where my life changed forever. Right there beneath my heel was something small, round, soft, like a little puffball. A gray rubber mouse toy, my cat's favorite, perfectly camouflaged against the carpet. I stepped on it. I don't know if you've ever slipped while holding a tray full of pancakes, hot coffee, scrambled eggs, and your dignity, but let me describe it. Time went slow. Coffee exploded like a flamethrower. Pancakes twirled through the air like ballerinas. Eggs dropped in clumps like napalm bombs. And me, I went full backflip down the stairs like a sack of emotional laundry. I landed hard. Syrup all over my back. A single pancake glued itself to my shoulder like a badge of shame, certified S-tier hopeless romantic failure. My girlfriend heard the crash like a break-in or a natural disaster. She sprinted out of the bedroom hoodie flying and found me lying there grunting in pain, coffee on the wall, eggs on the floor, pancake on my spine. And the cat just sitting beside me watching like this is your fault. The breakfast was meant for me. She laughed. She screamed. She ran to help. I couldn't move my wrist. Off to the hospital we went. Diagnosis: fractured wrist. The nurse asked what happened. I told her everything. She didn't laugh. She just wrote it down and nodded. Like this happens a lot. And I couldn't tell what hurt more, the broken bone, or the realization that this story was so common it probably had a checkbox on their intake form. The aftermath. My girlfriend has now banned all surprise gestures indefinitely. The cat still patrols the staircase like an assassin with zero remorse. And me, I've learned a painful syrup-covered truth. Love is beautiful. But don't climb stairs with a tray, unless you're ready to be hugged by a pancake from behind. And that wraps up this legendary lineup of Today I Effed Up moments. From someone destroying a bathroom over a romantic prank, to another becoming the town villain just for telling the truth about adoption. See, life's already chaotic. Reddit just documents it. If you enjoyed these kinds of stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a little laugh. Or maybe a wrist injury worth remembering. Catch you in the next video where the drama is always real, only the names are hidden.